May. No, it's been a while since I've turned on the camera because I have a lot of footage to catch up on, edit, and post. But I'm taking a break from that today because I just have a little quick project to do. This is a belt pouch of Randy's. He's had as long as the surcoat, which is a long time, and it's kind of has this nice little brocade pattern, but still not the greatest pouch. It has no structural integrity. It's just like cotton, flimsy something. And if you pay attention here to the pattern, it's not even. You can see the pattern on the fabric is crooked, so it's just tilted. Didn't really pay for it. It came with the surcoat as kind of like a complimentary, hey, thanks for buying this. So as far as free goes, no complaints. I mean, it's held up as long as it has, and there are no tears or rips. It's just has a few minor problems. So that's what I'm going to focus on today, is getting this to have just to sit a little more comfortably on the belt, because with the belt loop this high up, the pouch just kind of hangs, and if it's full of items, it just kind of leans forward. The weight of the items here at the bottom just kind of makes it almost lean back or lean forward. And since this part, the closure isn't very secure, so it just kind of like a loop that goes around this button, and that's the only thing that holds it in place. This comes undone a lot. So with those two problems together, this comes undone, leans it forward, and all of a sudden Randy's stuff is on the floor. So what I'm going to try and do is first I'm going to fix the belt loop problem. I'm going to just take this, fold it over, and sew it down. That way when it sits on the belt, it sits here instead of here. So this will give it a little bit more discipline when it sits on the belt. It'll keep it straighter. And then what I'm going to do is get rid of this closure. You know, even if they had just taken this button and moved it down a little bit, that would have been fine. If they had made this loop an elastic loop, which it's not, that would have been okay too. But just the way that this closure was engineered, there's no way that it works. The button sits too high, so the loop here just pulls the bottom up because it doesn't actually fit this way. The loop is too small to reach this distance. So there's quite a few problems with this. After all the years that he's had this is the first time I'm hearing complaints, but that's Randy for you. He doesn't like to complain. But, you know, I'm here for him. It's kind of my job. So today that's going to be my last task before we go back to the Renaissance Fair. I'm going to get started on this, and then tomorrow we will wake up early, get ready, and head out the door very early in the morning. This is difficult. I have my leather thimble on today. It has a metal bit, like right here at the center where I'm placing the needle in order to push the needle through. This is a really tough way to do this because we're dealing with at least 5 layers to sew the needle through at one time. So it's very difficult. So when I make the stitch, I get the needle through everything. I then have to take this metal bit on the thimble and push it through. Otherwise, I would severely injure myself. I've had instances in the past where I've punctured the tip of my finger, not with the sharp bit, but with the eye. It is totally possible to do that, and it's not fun. Not fun at all. Hurts a lot. So always use a thimble and make sure it's comfortable. I've been through a lot of thimbles in my life. I've tried the metal ones, I've tried plastic adjustable ones, but this is by far my favorite kind because it sits comfortably on the finger with the leather part, but it still has a very secure, sturdy part here that protects your finger from the needle. So I can see why Bernadette prefers her leather thimble, because they are, in my opinion, the most comfortable way to wear a thimble. And it stays on my fingertip, unlike the other kinds. I'm also using my denim clad knee to push the needle through sometimes. So I'm just placing the eye of the needle right here on my knee and then push down, and that got the needle through. And as long as there's enough layers of cloth, I don't feel the needle on my knee, because we have the pouch in the way and then my jeans in the way, so I'm not actually feeling anything. I know it's hard to see because the thread is black and it's up against a black background, so it's hard to see what I'm doing. And I'm wearing a black t-shirt, so the best way to really watch how I'm doing this is to follow the needle against all this black. Alright, so that part is done. So the belt loop is now sewn down. I tried to make it as even as possible, but I did what I could. So it's now sewn down here, not going anywhere. Now we have to deal with this closure. So first we're going to remove this drawstring. So this is gone. And now I have to decide which closure that I have that I want to add right about here, center. So put one side of the clasp here, put the other side here, and we'll see if that's helpful at all for him. So we're going with this darker color. Like an eye closure, so one will be here we go. Renstore's not really working, is it? I don't like the way this is looking. I don't have anything bronze. Alright, I'm gonna snapshot this, send it to Randy, and then turn the camera back on if he likes it. But right now I don't think I do, so I want his opinion. So I'm just going to take a picture of this. Okay, so we're gonna go back to my first choice, which is this kind of darker, almost black, brassy color. The rhinestones aren't preferable, but at this point this has a better color match to the brocade and the black than the silver ones. So we're back to the original idea, and Randy has okayed it, at least for now. But that's the beauty of hand sewing. I know how to go back in and undo the things that I've done. So if he in the future finds a clasp he really, really likes, we can just do this all over again. Won't that be fun? So I'm going to sew these on, and then we're going to do an overview of everything, and then I can move on to packing for the weekend.
5 minutes later.
Okay, so everything is all done now. The clasps are sewn down just in a lot of different places. I just wanted to make sure it was very secure so you can kind of almost see the thread from where all the places I sewed it down, just to keep it secure and to keep it straight while I kind of adjusted it accordingly. This is about as center as I could get it with the brocade being off. It was kind of hard to eyeball, so I used the button down to the grommet kind of as my guide, which was more difficult to do than I originally thought because the skew of this pattern was really throwing it off. But now it's on and clasped, so we'll see if Randy likes enough to keep it, or if this is just going to be a one-day thing. It's easier to clasp with two hands, but I'm holding a camera right now. But yeah, here we go. So we'll see if not only how it looks, but if it's secure enough, because the hook is a tiny bit shallow. So if it becomes unhooked a lot during the day, then we'll know if we need to replace it or not. But for a one-day, just for a one-day outing, I think this will do. It will certainly do better than the original closure situation they had going on before. Just try to ignore this button, because I would take it off, only it's not sewn on. It's been hammered on with more of a grommet situation than just a normal button that you can sew. So if I find a way to get this off, I will, but hopefully it'll just blend in enough with the brocade that people don't really notice.
Welcome to the channel, like and subscribe. Isn't that what YouTube wants us to say? Our Lords and Master of Google? Yeah.